Hello there everyone. So welcome to another video. This one's going to be a bit of a different type of video than some of my others. It will be covering Pokemon Unite and some of the future things that will be happening in the game that is known, at least for the moment, and some of my thoughts on what might happen to the game within the coming months. As you can tell, this is recorded for October, and then I also have a calendar a bit lower down for November as well. So we'll cover both of those months and some of my thoughts. But the big question I will try and talk about for this video is, will there be a Generation 9 Pokemon coming to Pokemon Unite shortly? So hopefully you're all ready. I'm just going to cover a few basic things and then get into the theory. So the first thing to talk about is what is actually going to be happening within the coming months for Pokemon Unite. The first thing that will be happening will be on October the 13th. On that day, you will have Clefable's release. It might be a big update day, I don't know because that hasn't been announced yet, but I would imagine there might be a good bit of an update on that day, with all the new things coming. And then also Season 7, you have the new Battle Pass, bunch of things happening on October the 13th. So that's already going to be a pretty big day to start out with. And so far, that is all that has really been announced, I would say. The next thing will be about the Halloween event, which has, I think, been officially announced by now. But if you don't know about it and you don't want to hear about it, spoiler warning. Also about the next Pokemon coming. Once again, if you don't want to hear about it, just skip a little bit. And yeah, But I think everyone should be fine with that by now, because it has been announced, I believe, officially. But anyway, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, our Halloween event starts on October 27th. And on that day, I imagine Zoroark or Sableye will also be released. Which one? I don't know. Both of them work for Halloween, so it's a little hard to figure out which one it is. My thought is that it would be Zoroark, because of this next point I'm going to mention. But it could still easily be Sableye. The big thing for the Halloween event is, I believe, if you remember last year, Greedent, when it got added into the game, it was a free character, and you could get it through doing the Halloween event. I think they will repeat that for this event. I think there will be a free character. I don't think the free character will be Clefable. I think they'll save it for the Halloween event, and you can either get Zoroark or Sableye. And I think they will do Zoroark for the Halloween event, if it is the free character, because I would say out of all three of those Pokemon, Zoroark's probably the most popular. So if they wanted to make probably the most people happy for a character that is free, I would imagine Zoroark will be who they would make free. But I could easily be wrong here. This is, like I said, all just thoughts, all theories. I don't know if it's been announced yet. I don't think it has. I don't think they would announce it yet, but, I might be wrong. But that's my thought on the Halloween event, at least for the first part. So my next thought is, on November 8th, it will either be Zoroark or Sableye, whichever one was not released for the Halloween event to be free, will be out on the 8th. The reason for that particular day is it once again fits in the time span, because it seems like at the moment they are releasing a new character every 2 weeks about. So there being a new character for that day probably works fine. It would be in the middle of the Halloween event, and it would fit about the 2-week time span. And that's just my thought on where it would be. It would obviously be purchasable, not free, so Sad, but whichever one it is, that's where I think it would come. Now we get into the real meat of the video. So the Halloween event is set to end on November 17th. That I believe has been officially announced. So, that's just simple end date there. After the Halloween event ends, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet actually release the next day. So that's pretty, convenient release time. Especially considering that I believe the season will actually end the week after Pokemon Scarlet and Violet release. The reason for that being is that would fit about the 40-day time span that they like to go for the seasons, considering the season starts on October 13th. If you were to go exactly 40 days after October 13th, you get about the 23rd of November. Also, they like to end their events slightly before, about maybe a week before the new season. Look at what they did for the Legacy Trainer Showdown. Legacy Trainer Showdown ended on October 6th. New season comes out a week after that. So I think the 23rd, maybe the 24th, sometime span within that, the new season will end and season 8, I guess it would start. But here's really where the talk starts. Will they add a Generation 9 Pokemon? Because Generation 9 would just release at that time. What better promotional tool for Pokemon Unite to get people to not only play Pokemon Unite, but Pokemon Unite players to play the new game if a new Generation 9 Pokemon was added into the game as sort of a promotional thing for Scarlet and Violet. And then also people would be like, ooh, yeah, let's go play this new character on Pokemon Unite who just got added. But I do think that this is a very, very likely outcome. And I would be interested to see if they actually were to do it. And hopefully you guys would be. And you guys can leave me also your thoughts on these theories down below. But I do have one more follow-up thing after this, or after I finish talking here, I guess. I want to discuss what Pokemon it might actually be to be in the game. So let's get into this right now. One big thing, when also discussing the Pokemon on which one it might be, is we don't have all the information on every single Pokemon that will be new in the game. But we'll discuss with what we know, at least as of right now, who it could be. And this, would obviously date the video, because I assume they will announce more Pokemon as we get closer to the release. But we'll get into what I think it could be, what I think it probably won't be. So let's start with what I don't think it will be. Wiglet, I don't think it's likely. That is the newest one, I believe. They just announced it not long ago. But I don't see that really coming in the game. It might. What they could do, actually, here's a thought. It could be on, let's say they come up with a new map next year. Wiglet might be replacing Dugtrio and Diglett. That could be interesting, just as a slight change. But I don't think it'll be added in the game, though. Smoliv, same. It doesn't seem like the most impactful Pokemon, but I obviously don't know what it evolves into, but that's at least my thought as of right now. Paldean Wooper doesn't seem like it will get the attention. I don't really see it as being added into the game, but you never know. Same thing with Cloth. Cloth doesn't seem like the most interesting Pokemon they could add into the game. But a crab would be pretty nice. I wouldn't mind actually seeing some sort of crab get in the game. Farigiraf, I also doubt will be in the game. Giraffrig would be an interesting one, but I don't really see it. I might be wrong, but I don't really think it would be one of the ones in the game, at least out of the choices. So Titan also, I doubt. I'm not really thinking much of it right now. It doesn't, once again, seem like that impactful of a Pokemon to be coming to the game. But like I said, all of these I could easily be wrong. I also doubt Koraidon and Miraidon will be in the game. They haven't added a legendary, especially not one of the main legendaries. I don't think they would start now. Would be pretty interesting if they did. I doubt it. I also doubt they will go Armarouge just because version exclusive if they want to get the most impact out of the game and this character. They realistically probably want to release a character who everyone will be able to see and everyone will be able to access. Same reasoning as Armarouge for Ceruledge. I don't see it happening. They could do a double thing with it, and that would be interesting to where both characters get released. But as of right now, I don't think it's likely. I think they just want to go for the most impactful Pokemon to come out. Now we're going to get into the ones that I still doubt will get into the game, but I think might be more likely. Fido is an interesting one. Pretty similar to Alcremie. I obviously, if you haven't seen it, I did concept art of Alcremie. You can go watch that if you want, but I designed an Alcremie for Pokemon Unite, and this is pretty much the new Alcremie. So, it could get into the game. Probably not. That's why it's in this spot. Same thing with Grafaiai. I think it would be a very interesting Pokemon, especially since I don't believe there is a monkey in Pokemon Unite. I might be wrong about that. But it could be a pretty interesting monkey, but I don't think it's going to be the most impactful Pokemon to add in the game also. Pawmi, it's a new Pikachu, or most likely the new Pikachu of the game. Every series has a Pikachu, or Pikachu clone. Pawmi, I believe, is the one for Scarlet and Violet. I don't think they'll do it. I mean, they haven't added a Pikachu clone yet. But, we'll see. I doubt it, though. And the last one for this list, which I do think is the most likely one out of all of these to get out, I just don't think they will go for it. Lechonk. Lechonk is a very, very interesting Pokemon. And it is also a very funny Pokemon. And I think Lechonk also broke the internet a little bit because it was so fun of a name to say. So, and it fits so perfectly. So I can see them adding it just because I do think it's the more known out of all the Pokemon. But I don't know if they would go for it. They might not. I don't know though. So now we'll get into the Pokemon who I think might actually have some sort of a chance to be in Pokemon Unite, at least as the first representative. And there's only 4. This is the first one. This is the least likely out of this category. But I do have my reasoning for picking Cyclizar. Cyclizar, I think, will be a very important Pokemon to the game. It might be the pseudo-legendary, because it is a dragon type. And a majority of the pseudo-legendaries have been dragon types, not all of them. But they did also announce it, and it does sort of have that feel of a pseudo-legendary type. So, maybe. And if it is, then that would make it a pretty impactful Pokemon to add into the game. It obviously would probably be one of those chase Pokemon early on. Probably going to be strong. But I don't know. I don't even know if it's pseudo-legendary or not, but That's my thought. If it is, it could easily be in Pokemon Unite, I would say. Pokemon Unite and Pseudo Legendaries certainly are, pretty close. But now we get into the main three culprits here. We have Sprigatito, we have Fuecoco, we have Quaxley. The three starters, obviously, these would be the most impactful Pokemon to pick to go into Pokemon Unite. They are the starter Pokemon. Starter Pokemon are the first Pokemon you will ever see. Everyone will see them. Even if you just play the game for an hour, you'll probably see them. They will have a lasting impact. Starter Pokemon normally do. Obviously, we don't know the evolutions of them. But my thought is that they might do maybe even a poll or something like that on which starter Pokemon was picked the most. Or they might even go through the game data of Scarlet and Violet. Figure out which starter Pokemon was the most picked. Whichever one was the most picked, that might be in Pokemon Unite. That's what I would think. Or they probably already designed the character and they probably already know which one they want for the game. I don't know which one would be best because I obviously don't know what they evolve into. But, that is my thought on who could be in Pokemon Unite. If there is a Generation 9 Pokemon, and I'm fairly sure there will be. Also, just a little recap on some of the Halloween event stuff that are coming, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for coming, thank you for watching, and please leave me your thoughts on who you think they could add in Pokemon Unite, whether or not they will add a Generation 9 Pokemon into the game, or what they'll do next. So, once again, thank you, hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.